Yep.
Okay. Notice is hereby given that a regular meeting of the City Council of the City of San Diego, Texas will be held on Thursday, May 9th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. at City Hall, 22870 Creek Road, San Diego, Texas, where a quorum of the City Council will be present. All agenda items are subject to action. You can join the meeting at the Zoom link provided in the agenda. The public will be permitted to offer public comments in person, telephonically, or by audio as provided by the agenda and as permitted by the presiding officer during the meeting by signing up with the city secretary at least 15 minutes in advance of the meeting, if providing comments in person, and at least 2 hours in advance of the meeting by emailing the city clerk at cityofsandiego.com or by calling 210-607-0834, speaking telephonically or by audio. An audio recording of the meeting will be made and will be available to the public in accordance with the Texas Public Information Act upon written request. Madam Secretary, may I have a call? The time is now 6:33. Madam Secretary, may I have a quorum call, please?
Sure. Mayor Pro Tem Alvarado,
Here.
Alderman Fillinger,
Here.
Alderman Coffendaffer,
Here.
Alderman Rapino,
Here.
Alderman Trimbley,
Here.
and Miss Cassandra Ortiz. And I'm here, and we have a quorum.
Great, thank you. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas
Texas
flag.
flag, I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
All right, citizens to be heard, persons wishing to speak may sign up with the city secretary in the time and manner as indicated above. The time is provided to citizens to address the city council on issues and concerns related to the city of San Diego. Please note that the Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the city from responding, commenting, or discussing items or topics during this portion of the meeting that are not included on the agenda. The city council appreciates hearing from the citizens, and your thoughts and questions are valued. However, civility and a sense of decorum will be strictly followed. All speakers must address their comments to the city council. Speakers shall refrain from public criticism of members of the city council that are prohibited by law. The item will be open for up to 30 minutes with 3 minutes to each speaker. One person may speak on behalf of a group. Up to 3 people may register on behalf of the group. For the spokesperson to be allowed up to 9 minutes to speak. If there are more than 10 speakers, each will be given 2 minutes or 6 minutes for a group spokesperson. Madam Secretary, do you have anybody signed up to speak?
Nobody has signed up to speak now.
Okay, perfect. Moving right along, mayor and administrator announcements. At this time, we really don't have any announcements to add to the meeting. So let's move right along. Actually, before we go to agenda item 5, I would like to jump to agenda item 10A. You're gonna 11A, excuse me. Discuss and or possible action on presentation of the annual independent audit from, how do you say it? You pronounce the acronym or?
Armstrong Bond Associates.
Armstrong Bond and Associates CPA. Sir, you do have the floor.
Hey, man. It's a lot of excitement for the audit. I appreciate it. Let's split up into it.
Yeah.
But I know you guys all know this, but just for anybody who may not, our job is to be the independent observer here on your annual financial report. We've killed some trees and you have your annual report in front of you. We've done our due diligence and we agree that those numbers are accurate. So when you give it to the public, they'll know that somebody else has looked at this and agreed these are good numbers. To keep it brief, there is a 1-page highlight that's tucked in there. It should be loose just in the middle, but it gives you the overview of that. We've given you clean opinion, which means we agree the numbers are good. We didn't have any material or significant findings going through your books. We do have a lot of journal entries that get made to your QuickBooks to get into this annual report format, which is common for a city your size. But we don't have anything that we think you need to be doing differently. We do bring a kind of an informational note in the letter that accompanies the audit about the fact that you have a limited staff. Ideally, you'd have people checking each other to prevent anybody doing anything nefarious, but you have limited staff. So you guys play an important role in trying to monitor what's going through the city's books to make sure that you're comfortable with how the money's leaving and how it's coming in. But on that one-page highlights, there's some financial information there for your general fund for last year. And you'll see that your revenue was up quite a bit from 2022, and that was the Texas Department of Agriculture grant. And also your expenditures were up because of that same Texas Department of Agriculture grant. At the end of 2023, you ended up taking $6,800 from reserves, so you're pretty close to break even, which was better than what your budget anticipated. Your budget thought you were going to take $127,000 from reserves, so better than what your budget projected. So that first green line shows you your ending fund balance of $268,000, which is what you have available to carry forward to the next year from your general fund. And that's about 3.7 months of operating costs. So not a lot, running a little thin, but it's enough to keep the lights on, so you're not worried about that. But I would mention that your 2024 budget does anticipate you dipping into that a little bit more. So if that all goes forward as it was originally planned in your budget, then you're going to have a little bit less in there. The ace in the hole that you do have is the American Rescue Plan money. That's the second line from the bottom. You still have $541,000 at the end of the last fiscal year that's coming into this year. And as I'm sure you know, this is the last year for you to spend that money, or you're going to have to give it back. You have more time to actually spend the money, but you have to, what they consider obligated. So you got to sign a contract saying we're going to buy something if you don't spend it by the end of the year. All of the bond money was spent in the last year to help the American Rescue Plan Act, so that will be falling off your books. So your books should get simpler as you go forward too. They won't have as much complexity to it. But those are just my highlights. I'd be happy to answer any questions or.
Well, I will make one comment that recently we did employ a third-party accounting firm to begin helping reconcile our transactions on a monthly basis. So hopefully that would satisfy the audit requirements, and that we do have another outside person looking at not only the bank statements, but our QuickBooks.
Right.
So that'll.
That would be great, and I would recommend it to making sure they have a direct access to you or the council. So if they saw something that was inappropriate, they would have a way to report it without, fear of reprisal or,
Right.
Awkward situations. So that would be important.
Definitely. Any questions, ladies and gentlemen?
Recommendations, do you have any recommendations going forward?
Well, the only one really right now is just to make sure that you know that you're part of that oversight, unless you have another accountant that comes in and kind of helps you get that little bit of oversight, and if they can report to you. That would be our main concern. The only other thing that I guess I would mention is we do have quite a few journal entries to get into this state, because QuickBooks is fairly simplistic, and so when you have bond money and you have a debt service account that you need to kind of keep separate, it's harder to do that in QuickBooks. So as you grow long-term, you're probably going to want to look at maybe some other kind of financial software. But right now it works, especially when your bond money has been spent. So your financial statements are going to get simpler again. So you won't have as much complexity. So you can probably keep going for quite a while. But long-term, you're going to probably need something a little bit more robust.
Good.
All right, so well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Nice meeting you. We'll get with you on the.
All right, guys, well, we heard from our auditor. I believe we do need a motion to accept the report as presented.
I'll make a motion that we accept the report as presented.
I have a motion from Alderman Papanapple to accept audit report as presented. Do I have a second? I'll second. I have a second from Alderman Rapino to accept the audit report as accepted. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Thank you, that passes. All right, so let's jump back to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered routine by the City Council of the City of Sandy Oaks and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Delma, which one was, did not make,
April 11th is
was already
ready to be
approved?
signed, yeah, and the 25th, April 25th is still in the works.
But we do have the May 2nd.
We do have the May 2nd.
Okay.
Do you have them with you? Because I have another one here. Do you have it in your packet?
Don't, you have May 2nd?
Yes.
Should everybody have May 2nd? Okay.
Here, do you not have it? Here, I have one.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. She had 2 copies.
Oh,
Basically,
oh, you didn't.
we need a motion to strike the 2 items.
Number 39.
I'll make a motion to approve items A and C as submitted. I'm striking item B.
No, A was already approved. It should have been on the agenda. B is not ready, but C is. No.
Motion to approve item C. The consent
Okay.
agenda.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to accept the consent agenda with just on item C. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, thank you. All right, moving right along to our financial report. Income and expenses for April 2024 will be reported by the City Secretary Del Doyle with helpful discussion and action. And you have the floor.
Alrighty, the statement beginning on April the 1st was $323,674.15. Checks and payments cleared were $88,257.97. Deposits and other credits cleared were $53,319.96, with a statement ending balance of $288,736.14. So the registered balance as of April the 30th would be $323,676.14. We also have the TDA fund, and there was no activity, and the balance on that one started at $51,970 and ended at $51,970 even. The ARPA fund also did not have any activity. Beginning balance was $448,105.28, and it ended at the same amount as $448,105.28.
Joe, the only thing I would ask is that for our deposits, I know we have some explanations here,
Mhm.
but this is a point of reference. So on the first page of deposits, there's one for $6,179.60. We can't identify that very easily. I'm assuming this is a cash deposit. Sounds right, right?
Yeah, I think so.
If we can
I would know.
figure out a way to just notate that,
Okay,
that way we can keep it on. How
Sure.
many times we're doing cash deposits.
okay.
And there was another decent sized one on, April 29th for 1,123. Which I'm gonna do another cash deposit.
Sure, we can get that.
Yeah, we can just add those into it. I think materiality wise, $1,000 or about should have a little bit of explanation. Question?
So everything that doesn't have an entry under the payee is cash deposits.
Not anything,
It could have been like, from the credit card, like they received a payment from the credit card.
Or a cash balance.
or checks. Or checks that she does them electronically.
Yeah, so, I mean, really, if we wanted to, we could have the description put on everything. But again, materiality wise, like, it's a lot of administrative work to say check deposit.
Cash deposits are only done by me, twice a week. So that shouldn't be hard, and I, right, and I always attach it to
Yeah,
the reconcile, totals. So she does know what that wants. So when
And
it-
we're not annotated what these, what the payee and what they are.
like the 535, like there's example, right? Like,
All the way down the
Yeah, yeah,
line.
yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm pretty sure we could put something, how much do we, what would you like to see, like
I mean, you can.
credit card payment or
Some type of,
just
Well,
a general description?
We can do it.
identify.
I can try to put some kind of description in there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Check payment,
yeah.
credit card payment,
Now, I would guess most of these are could be
probably cool,
court, so you want to say court. or
Yeah.
Something we just.
I think that 6,000 probably was court, court
yeah, I
deposit.
think it was cash.
Yeah,
Cash
cash.
receipt.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah, I think we could certainly do that, that was the one, my opinion was $1,000 materiality, but then,
yeah. We can do it.
I was thinking the audit.
well, they do random selections too, so.
And they're looking at the actual entry, so the actual entry might have something.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, well, they have access to QuickBooks, so they can see any details that was put in there. They have their own access, not, going through Delmar, going through Catherine.
Because this is a printout of your QuickBooks, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so the printout doesn't have a description, but I'm thinking she made a note on the site
Yeah.
that they saw that maybe they didn't touch it.
Because I believe this is a summarization. But, yeah,
So I could, I make a motion to accept the financial report as.
most likely. I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to accept the financial report as presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. Okay, moving right along. All right, animal control, presentation of monthly report by A.P. Cunningham, with possible discussion. Interaction, and you have a phone?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, city council members. So for the month of April, we had, new intakes of animals was 22. We had quite a bit of animals picked up. We had 11 warnings, 15 total warnings. 11 were for neighborhood, residents. 2 of them were for, cruelty and neglect. 2 of them were enforcement, such as, the way they have their dogs contained, or, they just didn't have their dogs the way they were supposed to be. We had 2 citations. Referrals was 4. I had a lot of people calling from across, asking questions. The impounds, we had 8. We had impounds and citations was 2. Unable to locate was 2. No violation observed was 3. Pending cases is 4, and then the result prior to us getting there was 0. Total calls for service was 40. Animals in custody as of the 6th was 15. That number, I had 6 leave, and then I picked up 6 more, so that number is still accurate. Dogs that were transferred to shelters, returned to owners, or adopted for the month of April was 10, and we had 1 euthanized. The euthanasia was due to parvo. It was so, yeah, ended up having to. But other than that, we haven't had to euthanize anyone. We've had a lot of our dogs have been adoptable, even though they were strays. And I don't know if I have any. Oh, I did speak with the Dragonfly. They're having an event. I believe it's the 24th of June. It's gonna be at the Wilson County, no-kill. So I'm trying to work with them on adding some pets that need to be spayed and neutered to their roster so that we don't have to host it here. It's still in the works. We're still trying to work out if that would work for Wilson County, because she has to talk with them first. So I'm still waiting to hear back from her on that.
Why are we not willing to host something like that here in town?
We are, it's just, since they're already having it, we could probably get it sooner.
Okay,
Just so that the community has some resources at least a little bit to get it done.
So just to give you some clarity, we have a minimum count. And, we would be on the hook for however many that is. And then we would collect from, so if we can piggyback off of other cities and just maybe do the transportation, taking our animals over there, then we are less liable for the cash part of it. And even when we have our own, from our discussion with Dragonfly, we're still on the hook, so if we have, you know, 500 animals, I have $100 a piece, however much that is, we would be responsible to pay Dragonfly at the end of the day. Yeah, exactly. So, you know, yeah, so then we would be responsible for it, and then we would have to collect some residents, so. Trying to piggyback off of other areas and maybe being the transportation of the liaison would be effective.
And seeing, you know, how it works.
So are you returning any animals who are not spayed or neutered? Do you return any like that or?
Yeah.
And so between now and when, if you return some, could you relay this information to them and maybe require, because we do have a spay neuter requirement in the city. We, you know, by right, we shouldn't be returning animals who are not spayed or neutered, although we're trying to get enough killed. Silly, so we are returning. Well, we did one, well, for part of it. But I'm just trying to see if you can relay that information and maybe if they'll commit that way and let the folks know that they can have, you know, 4, 5, 6 people who are interested, and we have names and take their names and try and coordinate some type of intermediary, you know, to work with those folks. And that's Dragonfly that's doing that one.
Yeah, so each person who picks up their dog, when they pick up their dog, I give them a packet of resources. It's not a packet like a staple packet, but it's several resources that I give them. One of them has all of the spay and neuter places that are relatively lower cost, versus going to a veterinarian. They get that paper, they get a containment paper to show them an alternative way to keep their dogs contained if their dog won't stay in their yard. And they also get a vaccination place that has low cost vaccination. And everyone can get their dogs vaccinated with a heartworm test for $75. It's a really good program that they have, and it's close by on Dublin. So I try to hand that out to everybody whose dog gets picked up. And every person that I stop at their house, when I'm out in the field, if they're getting a citation, whether they're getting a citation, right then and there, they'll also get that packet of papers. If they are being mailed a citation, I put it in the envelope. And if they're getting a warning, I still give them everybody gets that paperwork. So there's no one could say that they haven't gotten it. It's also available in the front here. I've made it public information so they can just grab one at their own discretion. So when that Dragonfly, when we finally do get set up with them, I'd like to have that out there as well.
Thank you.
So that everyone can, so that they can get their dogs fixed. That's the hope, that's the goal.
Blue Charles had a question.
Yes, Mr. Cunningham, at one point, we had a contract when people, came to get an animal from the shelter, whether it was owner recovery or someone adopting. We actually had a contract that they would, within 30 days, spay, neuter, vaccinate, and theoretically, the animal control officer was going to follow up if they didn't come in with paperwork prior to the 30 days. The animal control was going to follow up with them to enforce that up to impounding the animal again and offering it up for adoption, whatever. My feeling is a certain number of citizens think this is all a big joke. Uh, because, I mean, and not saying anything about you, but if you drive through this neighborhood early in the morning or late at night, I doubt that you can drive the 29 miles without seeing 35, 40 dogs out on the street. People think it's a joke, and allowing them to take that animal back without a commitment to spay, neuter, vaccinate, confine, if you're just giving it back without a citation, we are a joke.
Yeah, they get a citation when if their dog gets impounded.
Yep.
They don't get their dog back without a citation. They have to bring their ID, they have to come in, and they get a citation right then and there.
Okay,
If
do they have to agree that they're gonna have it spayed, neutered, vaccinated?
it is acknowledged, they, most of the time they, okay, it's, because they'll tell me it's too expensive, but then,
Are you following up with, to make sure they're done?
I would,
following up on this.
I would like to see that contract reinstated and a tickler file that, you know, Mr. Fillinger on the 10th day of next month must come in with proof of spay, neuter, vaccination, or I need to go visit him and possibly re-impound the animal. Because, you know, without
would
costing,
there be a way to sign their dog up for the procedure and have them pay for it first, and then they go and get it done? Because I feel like even if we give them their dog and I have to go back and take it, then we're just stuck with another dog.
well, Mally, if we don't get stuck with the dogs and move them somewhere else, then we're just spinning wheels because, I
You
mean,
end up going for the dog again.
Yeah,
I think we shouldn't release until the dog is spayed and neutered,
so get it done
get it done.
and have them pay
Once
for
they've
it.
identified it, the problem is you're gonna tell them this, and they're like, well, no, I don't want my dog.
Exactly.
Yeah, so now
well,
we're stuck with the dog.
and, again, I'm not gonna advocate. Here's the deal with like butterflies. We can have that animal spayed or neutered for less than a euthanasia. Okay? But we really need to put it on our citizens to take care of their business. Because quite honestly, if you have a dog and you can't afford a dog, you need to give the dog up. I don't care how much you love the animal, if you can't take care of it, you don't love it enough unless you release it to somebody who can take care of it. I'm gonna say this one more time. Many citizens think animal control is a joke. And if we continue to, oh, well, here's a citation, take your animal. I mean, we don't have to give them the animal back to write the citation. And if they won't sign a contract that say, I'm gonna take care of this, then they don't need the animal back.
We can go that route. Charles, the only issue with it, you can only hold so many animals. And the facility will be full, but it's a starting point. If you take the animal in, they want the animal back, it's a citation, and it's a contract, they sign a document that they're going to.
Wasn't it 3
And
months?
then you follow up, and if they haven't done it, then you have.
Would they be able to pay for it here first?
Pay for it here.
As far as, we make the appointment, they pay for it.
Well, I
then
don't
they
think
can
we
get their
should
dog.
take that, we shouldn't take on that.
I don't think we need to take on that
No,
responsibility.
that's on them,
Yeah.
And they have
Well,
to-
it eliminates us having to go back.
And it doesn't do any good to get them clear of the facility if we're just gonna pick them up again off the street next week.
Well, she brought up a good point. The idea of going back to make sure that I've had my animals spayed or neutered is I've been given 30 days after I picked up my dogs to prove that I spayed or neutered. If I have not come to see you within 30 days, if I have not stepped into the city hall and gave my paperwork to Mr. Pillinger saying, hey, look, it's been done, then you're gonna come see it. But I don't have to see you personally. As long as I'm letting the secretary, something here know that I've done it, then you don't have to come see me. You could, oh, scratch that off and they're gonna go see what called that. He took care of his animals. Like, promise you. That second visit is for those people who are not coming in. To say, okay, my animal's gotten shots. They got spayed and neutered. I know here in town, we're talking about butterfly, but we also got penny pox. They come what? Twice a month here in the St. Joe's to get vaccination. The city is set up for this, for people to do this so easily. We don't need to handhold them, we don't need to care. It needs to be taken care of. All you're doing is a follow-up. You know, you could follow up with a phone call. Hey, have you had it done? No, not yet. Okay. You just leave it okay, go get the animal impound. Why are you here? You've already admitted that you haven't had this done. It's been 30 days. I need little Rufus here. Gotta go with me. That's it. Cut and dry. You're not gonna have that many.
Do we need a warrant? Do we need-
Well, here's the thing.
It's a contract. There's not a warrant necessary at all.
Legally, if you cite them the first time, you take the animal, and you cite them, they get the contract, have to perform the spay neuter within 30 days. If they don't, you take the animal, and you cite them again, can it be mandated they have to see the judge?
To retain the dog or to keep the dog, we're probably gonna get a warrant and then they would have to,
So
but I.
So just
it
an
would be
administrative-
easier
Just an administrative mechanism, right? That's what
Right.
it's about.
If we put it into the fee, so would I still get the dog fixed?
It's,
You know, if they have it fixed and their dog is picked up, it's $50 and the $15 a day. If their dog is not fixed and I pick it up, then they have to pay to get it done. I take it and get it done, they come get the dog.
Yeah, but if they don't know, if they don't figure out that their dog, not figure out, if they don't figure out that their dog's here. After 10 days, now they owe $150, right? $50 a day. Now they owe the fee of the spay and neuter, fair neuter program, plus the vaccination. I'll tell you what, Lil Fido's not going back to. mom and dad.
That's it, they should have to surrender the animal, and just, if you pick it up the second time, it should be surrendered. They cannot surrender.
I would be willing to do without the impound. As long as you write, my citation for section 1,
Keep your dog.
that requires the dog to be microchipped, and section 2 that requires it to be vaccinated, and section 3 that requires it to be spayed or neutered, because all 3 of those are in the city ordinance. So write them 3 citations and let them see the judge again.
And we
Because
don't have to keep it.
about the second time they see the judge, he's not gonna be happy with them.
And we don't pick up the.
And we don't pick up the dog until after they come before us. At that point, our prosecuting attorney asks for a warrant to impound the animal if it has not been done. Because at that point, you're about 60 to 90 days minimum from when they said, yeah, I'll do this.
Alderman
It's my
Folger,
dog.
yeah, no, and I think these are fair ideas. Can we take this offline?
I guess so.
With you and Ashley to come up with a game plan, right? Because now's a great time to air these ideas out, but I also think we need something laid out so she has
Okay,
an order of instructions to, that this is the steps that we need to follow with every box. And if this happens, yes, kind of a workflow chart. I think could be a good
Right.
idea.
I'll see you next week.
Okay, sir.
I'll make a motion to accept the report as presented.
Do you need a motion?
It's also doing her report.
Yeah, I don't think we
Really
need a
my
motion.
question.
No, I mean, her report, and then your question came, we all go on.
Oh,
I mean,
We don't need a motion. Thank you.
Okay,
man.
I was,
Appreciate it.
but thank you, Bill, very,
am I done?
want to run away?
Unless you want to stay longer.
Welcome to stay on. Thank you.
All right, moving right along, public works, updates and announcements from Public Works Director Smith with possible discussion and action. Maybe you have the floor.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. We have a, issue going on Starbuck. They're, apparently finding a way, the fence is, in bad shape. There on Starbuck, and it has been before I started. With that being said, since we have Jacob on board, it's given us an extra hand, so we have used the tools that we've been purchased, and we have placed some bollards out there on Starbuck. We not gonna put a chain link fence up. They'll just tear it down as they've done in the past.
Who's they?
There
Citizens,
is some citizens, I'd rather not mention any names, but there's some citizens that are bringing, I have pictures that were sent to me, golf cart, dirt bike, and a large four-wheeler. And they are tearing my park up.
We know who these people are?
I do know who the individual is that has the four-wheeler and is doing the damage to the park, but so to stop that from happening, we went on ahead and put some bollards up. So now that, that device can no longer come that direction.
Starbucks is the cul-de-sac.
Yes,
I've seen it there, yeah.
yes. We also want to clean up that area, because it's overgrown with brush and stuff like that, but it's gonna take us some time to get that cleaned up.
Why haven't we arrested this person for vandalism? Why hasn't that name been given over to our officer?
and we gotta catch them. We
You had
know,
the
we
camera.
know based off of,
We've had
Common
cameras
knowledge.
out there, right?
well, we know off of common knowledge, right? This is what we believe, but actually catching them in the act, I think is the issue. Am I mistaken?
So one of the dirt bikes, that, was actually witnessed by me, and I saw the gentleman. He had actually his, apologize. I meant to say that because he actually had a child, a very small child, that actually almost come off that dirt bike. Because of him trying to cruise through the trail. The trail is not for the dirt bikes, it's not for the golf carts, it's not for the four-wheelers, it's for people to walk on them. But entered through the Starbuck and exited out Doe Run. And so that's another area I'm going to put another bollard at, because the gate stays open all the time there at that location. So to stop the four-wheeler from coming in at that location also, for, the dirt bike, we're gonna put another bollard there. The dirt bike is no longer in our city because I did reach out to the police department and that was handled. So the dirt bike actually left the same day because it was addressed, actually put it in the truck and it's no longer here. So the person actually sold it. They got rid of it. They didn't know they couldn't do that. The other thing I'm gonna work on in the park is also placing some signs at each one of our cul-de-sacs. Any entrance, whether you can walk, ride your bike, I'm gonna put some signs out in those areas to let, the community know. There's a lot of people out here that you will get, I didn't know. So if the sign is there, you do know. So we will be putting some of those up.
Do we have an ordinance regulating four-wheelers, dirt bikes and such in the park area? I'm not familiar.
So we do have an ordinance with park conditions and,
If
uh,
if we have an
allowances.
making signs.
And we have signage.
Why, in, you know, city, whatever, dirt bikes, four-wheelers not allowed per city ordinance, it would need to list the ordinance on the sign. That way, if they're caught in their
Correct. And there's not
destroying
an ordinance.
property and an ordinance violation, you can hit them two different ways.
They did specific in, okay.
Well, then we'll need to look.
Doesn't it say no vehicles off the main road or something like that?
Unless we need to just
I think-
amend the.
Right. We don't want authorized vehicles beyond this point, yeah.
if you're gonna go to the extent of having a custom sign made.
Mhm.
How about take the ordinance and just say, no livestock allowed. No off-road vehicles.
Mhm.
Speed limit 10 miles an hour.
And that's fast.
And at the bottom of it, city ordinance number 2018 whatever it is. And that's legal notice. And they can't say, I didn't know,
Right, I thought about the
unless
fine.
they say. So I believe that. So you might want to buy a lingual sign now, but who am I to say?
But the good thing is that it's just a few, it's not a bunch of, residents in the community that are deciding to do that.
But those few really tear up the park.
Right.
It was a problem in the past, this.
It's
It's,
not new.
no, it is a problem. Well, now it's, we're not done yet. But, that individual did see that they're there. So like, oh, can't do that. We also had a pickup truck that I had just attempted with our new equipment, our new tractor, our new attachments, to actually take the box spreader and just try to grade that top layer of stickers and stuff for the baseball fields. And I know there's red sand underneath that. And was attempting to do that, over the weekend, this has been a little while back, but over the weekend, they decided to take an actual truck. And they just did donuts. Where I cleared all of that, and it was like, oh, that's perfect. So, we're gonna have to rerun the wire. Cause the cable was taken out of some of the bollards, but it wasn't put like back, not that I would expect anybody to know where to put that. But it's left some open spot where an actual truck can go through there. So instead of taking all that wire out, what we did do real quickly to stop that truck from doing what he did, we put a bollard there. So that open spot now has an extra bollard there. So it's just tough. I mean, the park, we just got a pat on the back for a job well done for how nice the park looks. It's the nicest they've seen it. I'm still trying to work on the playground. So, but it's a work in progress.
Keep your head up,
Thank you.
you're doing a good job,
That's all I got.
Thank you.
thank you. All right, moving right along, my apologies to Alderman Lupino, I skipped him. Before. I'll do it again next time. Parks and Recreation updates and announcements from Park Advisory Committee Chair Rupino with possible discussion and her actions. Sir, you have the floor.
Okay, we had our, monthly meeting, on Tuesday the 7th, and we had lively discussion, some of the things that came out. One that, June meeting will be on the, 4th of June at 5:30 in the community center. A couple of the things that came out of the meeting on Tuesday was, there are still leaks, there are leaks in the, restroom ceiling, and I've already, mentioned them to Priscilla. There's still a weak spot in the floor, in the center floor, and she knows about that too, and she plans on doing something about it. The lady was very possible to get a duplicate membership card for Simmons, and Priscilla is looking into that also. They would like to purchase an outside shaded picnic table for, smokers when they have their, evening, shindigs in the, the bingo and the bongo and things that they put on at night. And sometimes, we have children that they, have water slides outside, so they want a place for the parents to sit outside and, out of the sun. And, on the 28th, they're going to come and skirt and tie down and reblock the, storage building. And so that's about the end of what we discussed outside of the Rock Council.
I want to hear that.
Okay.
Tom, just to reiterate, June 4th, 5:30 is the community center meeting, right?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm trying to try
You're
to,
welcome to come.
I'm trying to, the June 4th is a month away, but when did that fall on?
That's a Tuesday. They're
It's a
always
Tuesday?
Tuesday.
All right.
They mentioned that they haven't seen you in a while.
Oh, man, now I've been summoned Speaking of that, I got jury duty next week, so that's. Yeah, I'll be sure to stop by. Hopefully baseball's slowing down for us, so I should have some more flexibility.
July.
It's true. I'm not going on the 4th of July. All right, I appreciate it, sir. Thank you very much. All right, moving right along on agenda item 10A. I'm going to move that we postpone 10A because we have a bunch of vehicles down and Tahoe is being used by various departments, so we do not need to sell it or donate it or send it to auction.
Well, that was another thing, when you use it for something, give it to the park.
Well, it only has 2 seats.
I think it's dark, jury ready.
Maybe those seatbelts back in, but that's not a bad idea. If we can find the seats, maybe we can figure something out. All right,
Sir, I thought we had once, postponed this agenda item until we develop a policy for the surplus disposal.
yeah, I put it on there just in case we had that already, but wishful thinking.
That's always.
Always. All right, moving right along. So we'll postpone that, because right now we have to use it for our own purposes, so. All right, moving right along, agenda item 10B, discussing a possible action on a quote bid for the tree trimming. Alderman Phil, did you get any extras?
No, I did not, sir. I'm gonna recommend that, we proceed with the tree trim and not to exceed $10,000. And, just go for it. That's a most,
Sure.
Or so,
Good question. We can still get our own bids. So,
Yeah, the
Thank you.
issue with,
I didn't say tomorrow.
Yeah.
Just,
No, I was saying to find not just this person, let me
Yeah.
do a little more research, let me see what I can come up with.
And when you find someone you're happy with for under $10,000 and the Mayor Martinez says go for it, then let's go for it.
Okay,
I'm tired.
but they
We
won't
don't
know,
need to deal.
but they
with
won't know
this.
how much was approved.
Is that a motion?
That is the most, sir.
All right, so I have a motion from Alderman Fillinger and a second from Alderman Tremblay to move forward with the tree trimming, but with an NTE of $10,000. All of those in favor say aye. I'll say,
with mayor's approval,
oh,
prior to proceeding.
with mayor's approval prior to proceeding. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed. All right, thank you. All right, moving right along, agenda item C, 10C, discussing a possible action on amending the employee personnel manual to add an sexual harassment policy. So in this policy, I think it does a decent job of going through the various levels of sexual harassment, discrimination, if you make a false allegation, protecting against retaliation, like a whistleblower protection policy, the investigation part of it, and it goes, I think it's honestly taken from another city, that's been kind of rewritten to reflect San Gokes. So I think it is relatively all encompassing, certainly strive to add as you see fit. But I think it is something that we do need to add to our employee personnel policy, but it's open for discussion. We need more time, we can always put it back on.
I don't see any problem adding this to the employee, handbook, personnel handbook.
Everything else is rewrite.
The only issue is that, and I've had this discussion with you, Mayor, and with Thelma as well, is that, I've talked to many of the employees, and they've not read the employee, policy handbook. It's quite lengthy to Xerox and make copies of that thing. It's, tedious. My suggestion was for the gentleman to make a copy, put it in a binder and have it available for all the employees to review.
Well, just in general, like the whole policy, not just this.
And I see you smiling down there.
No, I,
Whether or not they read it is.
no, I'm not,
them.
I'm not disagreeing with you at all, sir. I'd like to move it a step forward of that. To adopt this policy for inclusion. But I'd like to see that handbook actually formatted in Word with titles, page numbers, table of contents, and bind that up. But you could also have the electrical document available to send to interested parties. That's just my thought.
Yeah, I think a digital signature would be great to have, because then they could review it, you know, on their desktop. And get a digital signature that goes along with it. Because then otherwise, we need a paper copy that says they acknowledge it.
Right.
So I think we need some sort of way for them to say, yes, I read it, or I skipped through it, and you know what, I'm responsible if I'm in violation. No, I think both options are good.
They acknowledge that they've received it. There is no acknowledgement that they have been given it.
I mean, I could do an audit tomorrow of our employee files and see how many are in there. Or, you know, again, just saying, like, let's actually see who's acknowledged it. And then we can say how effective that was.
It's something you can do.
Yeah,
So the motion would be to make a more about a Word document.
It's stored somewhere, right? Like, how is it stored right now electronically?
on the one that, Tremley showed me, I have no idea where that one is. But I can find, I'm gonna find it.
Updated
Okay, so it's in a PDF format.
Yeah,
so
it's a PDF,
Easy to
yeah.
move it back to Word, and then we can add it.
We can add the, yeah,
So, yeah, I don't see why it couldn't be done.
Yeah.
Relatively easy, just with some time.
right. It can be
So
done.
I move that we include the sexual harassment policy into the employee handbook, and that the employee handbook be digitized and made available to all the employees for verification and signature.
No second.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to add the sexual harassment policy to our employee manual, to digitize it and have an acknowledgement form, for you.
Yep.
Or, you know, signed by every. All of those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, moving right along, thank you. Okay, agenda item 10D. Okay, discuss and or possible action on appointing an interim city administrator in accordance with ordinance 2018-110, or designating members of the city council to perform certain administrative duties. Let's take the floor.
Yes, sir. First, we start by saying, from our last meeting, we discussed hiring an interim, or filling the position with an interim, city administrator. To my, surprise, and evidently an individual contacted me who does keep up with our city, as well as many other cities in the area. I did include in your packets, Mr. Ken Roberts' resume, who has worked for us in the past. Has a very lengthy resume. Kind of speaks to itself, but his experience working with other cities, I could go down the list. You all had a chance to look at it, but his experience is it's astonishing. I look at his resume and I'm like, wow, I mean, this guy's, he's a book, he's walking,
Maybe I just can't hold the job.
But he did, and looking at his resume, you can see that he bounces around a lot. And I think, you know, what he does is he serves as an interim for a lot of these cities. Because he really, at this point, almost wants a full-time job. He doesn't want to work 40 hours a week, and he's not looking for something full-time. But I think, and he contacted me when he saw our minutes or saw our agenda. And he said, hey, I see you're looking for the interim, I'd be interested. And I was just so surprised that he called me. Surprised that he even kept my contact information because we haven't spoken in 5 years. So, but his resume speaks for itself. I don't, if I say, I hope y'all had a opportunity just to glance through it. Now, he is willing to step in as an interim. I think his experience and knowledge will help us get through these next few months until we can find a full timer.
So we're still gonna post.
We should still post, yes. And for what, he'll help us out until we can fill the position.
So,
At some point, maybe he decides he wants to take the full-time position, but what he,
so what do we expect as interim? 3 days a week?
he's willing to work 32 hours a week, 32 hours a week. Compensation, he's asking for $40 an hour with $100 a month car, expense stipend. So doing the math, it would cost us $1,305 a week. And if we did keep him for till the beginning of the fiscal year, say we find somebody and we want to start, October 1st, it would cost us about $2,600 to keep him for 20 weeks. 26,000. Annually at his cost would, if we were to hire him at cost, for what he is asking, it would be $66,500 for an annual salary. So I think when we look at what we're going to spend, what we're looking to offer for a full-time administrator, I think we were looking around 70 to 80, even 90 for a full-time administrator. So I'd like to take him on and see if he can help us. His experience working with employees, all our HR stuff. He's good at grants. He can write grants. We just look at his resume. He's worked. I mean, I first met him as he was the Garrison assistant manager at Fort Sam Houston when I was working there. We're going way back. He actually changed my diet.
I'd like to address the council for a minute.
Go ahead.
I've also worked with gentlemen and worked around gentlemen, and we never had an issue. That said, we need an administrator. Interim administrator, full-time administrator, we need an administrator. I can backdate that he has been here before and he has performed and delivered when he was here before. So,
I do have a question, right? So Mr. Roberts.
Yes,
Looking at your resume, it's kind of hard to decipher, but I laid it out in a format that I can easily point out. So you were interim City of Sandy Oaks 2016 for 6 months, then interim for Nixon for 3 months, interim for Carter City for 4 months. You made the reference to it, can't keep a job. And I know you were joking when you said that, but I mean, explain like, I get it, right? But explain kind of the inconsistencies of the ability to stay somewhere.
The outfit that I was working for during that period of time was called Texas Work. And their niche in this profession is that when a city either lacks a city manager or gets invited, wrong, or whatever, they supply an infant to sit in the chair, keep the lights on, and begin the recruitment process for a full-time. And then once that permanent person is hired, of course, maybe 2 weeks, stay there a little to say, the washroom's here, and the water fountain's there. And then after that, I go out and then go on to the next one.
So would it be fair to say that you weren't really employed by the city of Nixon, you were employed by Texas First, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right, now that makes more sense, right? Why there's so much bouncing around. I think I'm not trying to critique your resume, but what I'm saying is if it said Texas First for 10 years, all right, as an interim city manager, I think that would have made more sense to me. But that's just me trying to understand.
Well, the title interim administrator.
Yeah.
That means part-time till we do something else.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I mean,
the interim administrator is not a career with one city. Might be a 2-week gig, might be a 2-year gig.
Yeah.
But
Right,
it's
but like-
always a short-term
like-
gig.
He referenced that if he decides to stay full-time, he could. So that
He
would
would
be a
need to
question of why
apply,
he
he
didn't
would,
stay.
he would apply for
He
the
would
full-time.
apply
yes.
for the full-time job like anyone else.
I have a
Yeah,
question,
okay.
Mr. Roberts.
I'd also like to say something. since
Sure.
I also work with Ken and I will mimic what Charles and David said. When I saw the resume, I was sort of happy that we had applied. So,
Or at least we have someone viable right now.
so, okay. So my question is, right, when we get to October, do the new budget, right? Where do we get the money to continue this position going forward? Because right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna say, well, we're gonna rob Peter to pay Paul by taking from the police
To do
department,
the interim.
right, to do the interim.
Mhm.
We already know our budget can't support a chief, a police officer, 2 police officers, court clerk, city clerk, all the public works, all
Would
animal
we
control.
know by then if the tax rate passes?
We wouldn't know
The
until.
new budget needs to
Include
include a salary for a city administrator,
Right.
or a full-time administrator,
Yeah.
or any other position that we deem necessary. So it's come October 1st, it needs to be in the budget.
Yes.
So yes,
I agree. But who am I taking it from?
we're not taking it from anybody. We have to budget for it. You're not taking it from anybody. If the income from property tax, sales tax doesn't cover it, then, and then we need to talk about a tax increase.
Yep.
So
So
that's where the
that's what
money
I'm
will come
saying,
from.
if the
That's what
tax
I'm
increase
asking.
doesn't improve, right? And we try to put this position onto the budget,
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
well, I'm trying to, it's.
It does and it doesn't, and I'll tell you why, because you took this from, is this gentleman gonna be this
Yeah.
position to,
Sure.
where am I getting the money? Are we doing a tax increase this year?
Yeah, that's true, okay.
That's
I
all.
mean, what you're
I
talking
understand where
about
you're at, the
will
money
be
is important,
Included in the budget.
but I've got a question for Mr. Roberts.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
Sir, you know 3 of these people up here on this board very well. I don't have a clue on who you are, sir. Now, I understand you used to work for Sandy Oaks up until 16. What'd you do for this community up until then?
After I left you at Wallace,
While you were here, what did you do for Sandy Oaks when you were here last time?
personnel policy,
Okay,
we worked on work and flow within the department and trying to identify core missions that public works do need to be involved in animal control. The police do need to be involved with the volunteer fire department. And if you stay in your lane, you understand your job, you know what your boundaries are, it seemed to look better than what I said. But the real judge of that would have to be the citizen.
well, where I'm sitting at is, you could see that our city is enslaved turmoil. As the things that have recently happened.
We don't say
Most
motion.
of them are.
And yeah, we desperately do need the help. But I'm looking at the experience you've got. I'm impressed. I love it. Seems like something that you can do. And that you'll do well for us. I'm grateful that you reached out to us. Because yeah, I know the city's been advertising. I've been trying to talk it out wherever I can find folks at too. But like I said, I just personally don't know you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So I wanted to hear more about what you've done for Sandy Oaks in the past. What is your plan on the future for this community?
What I would like to propose, if you give me the interim job, is a contract for 3 months. At the end of that 3 months, you evaluate. You either tell me to get lost, or I can go into the pool of candidates to stay here for a contract period, say not to exceed 3 years. But all of that is up to you. I'm a minor player.
So you're asking us for 90 days.
Yes, sir.
And see what you can do with 90 days.
Yes,
I
sir.
just,
I like that. That I think is something we could work with.
can we just appoint without broadcasting that we are looking for in terms of?
Sure.
For an unbudgeted position?
We can, sir, but we do need to,
It's on the agenda.
we do need to generate a resolution to appoint him. And then we go through the regular appointments, swearing into office, signing all the, I didn't bribe no one for this guy, but my first cousin in the bear, whatever that form is.
was in Trump.
I just feel like this is.
But if I can just back up for 1 second, just to go back on what Paul was talking about, for his questions were, what I have is the general duties of an interim assistant city manager. And should Mr. Ken Roberts, should we appoint him, we'll be given these duties as to what he will follow, which I'm sure nothing on this list is new to him. Nothing. I think he may have some new things to put on here, is what my thought is.
So since we don't have a resolution today, so we're not appointing, we're just looking.
We need a resolution
I move.
to appoint.
You have in the past, I can draft one up, or just I can draft one up and. definitely the resolution.
So we can do it next meeting,
We,
so we can.
we
do a start date.
normally have an ordinance that describes an office or a position. That if it's an office, then we appoint by resolution. Every single official here, past and present, other than elected, has been appointed by resolution.
If I can, my concern is that. I see this and I know how it's gonna sound, but my concern is that Mr. Roberts knows Mr. Tremblay, and then we're looking for an interim city manager, and a phone call magically comes up.
What I told you was that he reads,
I
he reads our.
know how it sounds, but
Sure.
this is how it's projected, right? This is how I see it from my side, that I don't know Mr. Roberts. In my opinion, that's, but
Former employee, former administrator. We're not related, I'm not,
I'm
there's no,
not making it.
nepotism, there's no nepotism here. I mean,
And he knows all three of us.
Okay.
And
Yeah,
all
so-
three of us think highly of him.
Perception is reality, and the fact that he knows three of y'all, and then he follows our city. It's odd. I'm just throwing it out there, so when somebody says, well, Mr. Mayor, you allowed this to happen under your watch, I'm gonna be on the record saying, I put it out.
I hate to be the one to tell you, this, Mr. Mayor. Okay. Sandy Oak is an interesting topic in most of the local government. Newest city in this part of Texas. We're a hot topic. Okay? And we've had aldermen resign, we fired marshals, now we fired a police chief. We've had the mayor walk off in the middle of a term. We have our elections, I mean, come on. The way, I have not had an opponent since 2019. And it's 2024 now. Of course, my opponent from 2019 is now sitting to my left. Appointed because she didn't have an opponent at last year's election. Okay? At this table, there are three people that have actually been elected to the office they're sitting, well, elected to public office. There are three people that are here purely by appointment. Okay, and Mr. Rufino, Alderman Rufino, was appointed to his first office with the city, but he has been elected since.
So you're
So-
saying that we're.
I'm
watching
saying,
this saga.
we are a
That's why you're
regular,
watching.
we are a regular soap opera of a local government.
Mr. Mayor.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes,
Uh,
thank you, John.
Just be clarified, sir.
Interim city managers are like a ladies bridge club. They sit and talk about first this thing and then that thing, and then if you don't have any facts, they'll make something up. But in this instance, looking at where you are today as where you were the first day I came, is phenomenal.
We have abilities.
Yeah, where I mean, up at the RV park. But this is a fun city to work because it's not too big, it's driving you nuts. The city that I just left, thank God, the story of the councilman and his sexual improprieties came out after I left. Don't even imply anything. Long and short of it is, our network goes real deep.
Actually, so I looked up, city of Kirby, you're still listed as this interim city manager. Is that no longer your place of employment?
That is not my place of employment. I resigned.
Okay.
When I saw.
I want to tell them to take you off the website.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't think that I enjoy a very close relationship with the mayor. And any suggestion I might make, I don't think would be well received.
Mr. Mayor, I think he's asking you to make that call.
Oh, I have a phone call into them just to understand like who you are. Cause I mean, again, like Terry here, I don't have any recollection of you. Other than I've seen, I guess, your name on a few things in past times. So, yeah, I've called back, at least Kirby, but they haven't returned my phone. Okay.
In all seriousness, I'm not sure.
Just a resolution, I found the resolution that was passed when he was last appointed, but it did reference a contract, the Texas First Group contract. So the resolution can either be similar to the city secretary one, it just has the duties versus the ordinance, compensation determined by council, or if there's a contract that we need to review, that can be attached to ordinance and come back to the next meeting.
Do you have a contract?
A proposed contract.
Currently,
No, but just in general, you have a
I
proposed.
guess that's one.
Okay. All right, then let's put it on the next agenda.
Did we have one with Fox? Was he with first also? I don't remember. I don't think he was.
Are you gonna spend it down?
I was thinking.
Working independently now, or are you still working for the American?
I'm
Okay.
wildcat. I know him go.
I understand. Okay.
Yeah,
Is that the right one? Yeah, 2018, okay.
this is the one that creates the position, and then there was one that actually appointed named as the interim, but it referenced the contract when he was in first group, and all his duties were outlined in that contract. That's,
So that duties.
so these duties would be referenced in the resolution, but if there is a contract, a 90-day contract, then that can also be attached to reference the resolution.
So you have a contract, you have one.
I do.
Okay.
And the contract can be amended, dismissed, modified at any point during that 90-day period. In as much as I'm hired help.
Do we need the contract?
But you're not an
Stipulate in the
employee.
resolution that-
I'm sorry?
You're not an employee.
No contract.
Yeah. Well, that's what the contract makes. Okay.
So you work on the 1099.
Although
That may make work easier. 1099? Here's your check. You report the
I would
taxes.
request that the taxes be withheld from that payment because this year I got soaked for being a individual.
Can we do it
employee first
for the next meeting on the 23rd with the.
and IRS?
Oh, I'm with you.
It's like,
Oh, they gave me a buyout.
the next, both comes from, somebody wants to start beginning.
Yeah.
For Monday. we-
Would it be easier for you under a 1099 or a W-2?
I would prefer.
Then that negates the contract issue.
Well, sir, it would if I could look at it and I defer to the city attorney.
Well,
No, you could-
follow me on this, sir. If we go with the W-2 system, okay, then as part of the employment process, it'd already be known up front. And like we do with every other employee, a probationary period for 90 days.
Yes, sir.
and then we do a review. Just that simple. So no contract needed there. An outline of your duties. We do that for all of our employees coming in regardless. And then a decision. How much longer do you want to keep working at this? I want to keep you as long as we possibly can, which would be until we find somebody who wants to fill the position. I don't want to give it a deadline of like 3 years. I don't want to give it a term with 20 days.
Yes, sir.
Because yes, trying to find somebody to fill this position is rather difficult. 32 hours also puts you under the full-time position. In other words, you're not full-time. Now, based on your age, I'm not calling you an old man, you're just a couple of days. behind. But you're also beholden to Medicare and Medicaid, which means that if you work too many hours, they'll burn you. So that's understandable.
But I think the
Not
option was his, that he didn't.
certain age.
That's what we're talking right now, is that he would rather go
Saying
W
If we
two.
put him on a W-2, then he's an employee that we've got to do all kinds of paperwork.
I'd
Not at
like to-
32 hours or less.
I'd like to address that.
Sure.
Yes, if he's an employee, there are obligations. Our employee retirement fund, doesn't care whether you're a part-time employee or full-time employee. If you're an employee of the city, you have to join the retirement fund.
Okay.
If you're a paid officer of the city, you don't have to join the retirement fund, but you do have to take care of your own taxes. So, but you can have a W-2 contract employee also. Yes, you can have a contract with a W-2 employee. Okay, so there's a lot of different things there that we actually, everybody wants to be happy. Mr. Roberts wants what's best for him. We want what's best for the city, and we need to work out, you know, as an independent contractor, our bookkeeping is real easy. We don't have to force him to join what's the,
Well, sir, if you remember,
And
prior to, go ahead, Mr. Rogers.
just to let you all, I'm retired civil service and I'm retired from TMRS. And every year Medicare makes me file to say how many hours I'm working. Currently, they're teetering between 24 and 32. With Medicare and the shape it's in anybody's.
well, as an employee, you would have to sign up with CRMS again.
No, sir, I don't.
You don't?
No, sir. I haven't in any of the interim jobs I've had, because I'm already retired from it. If I go back in the system, then they'll go back and adjust my monthly stipend.
That's why he wants to remain term.
Mr. Pelham, Alderman Pelham.
You can do 1099. Be done with it.
Well, that's just it. That's why I'm asking you, ladies and gentlemen, this is our first conversation with this gentleman. He has not had a job interview until now. So these are the questions I'm asking to see what he needs, what's required of him, what his requirements are. Our requirements are simple. We need somebody to fill this position and fix this damn thing that's broken that we call the city today. But I need somebody who's gonna be willing to, and I need to know what his requirements are to do that, whether it be a W-2 requirement or whether it be a 1099 requirement. So, sir, instead of continuing this job interview in this forum, I'd like you to line all this out with the mayor after we're complete. That'll give the mayor a better chance to get to know who you are.
I think it may be better to find the city attorney, so we get the resolution.
Let her be there present too.
So that we know which way.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, yeah, you're hired. But there's things that you are wanting, that you need to have set up to make this happen. And so I think that we need to continue this discussion outside of a city council meeting.
Yes, sir.
So I'm gonna ask that, yes, please get with the mayor or city attorney. Possibly Alderman Fellinger. He seems pretty knowledgeable on a lot of different tax things. I'm really not. Sometimes I get lucky. They might send me a check. A lot of times I'm writing checks to them. So I'm not one to speak on the IRS.
Anyway,
Speak of the city attorney who also has worked with Mr. Roberts in the past.
There you go. You know a lot
See,
of
that's the end
people.
of it.
We're doing great.
If I can make a motion
Yeah,
to, ask the city attorney to prepare a resolution and coordinate with Mr. Roberts and what his requirements are for employment. And with a possible, to come back with that, for the 23 May meeting, with a possible start date for the interim administrator of 27 May. Actually, it'd be 28, coming 27 would be the more. Also, it'd be 28 May for a possible start date.
I'll second that. In anticipation of that, Cassandra, you're not.
Well, I'm looking at the 23rd, did you say
28.
start the 20th?
Yes.
Or the 23rd meeting?
23rd meeting, start a resolution. I see that. And the contract, if it's a contract, have the contract, if you coordinate. That's
The search.
All right, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay and a second from Alderman Rapino to task our city attorney with reading a resolution to appoint an interim city manager, with potential start date of, May 28th. With everything to be discussed.
Pay 32 hours a week at $40 an hour with a $100 a month parson.
So we're not gonna negotiate that?
If it were a perfect world, 24 would keep me away from any audit on medicine.
On your hours,
Yes, sir. So it'd be 3 days a week rather than Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Darn, we have our meetings every Thursday.
I don't.
And I do.
I don't think we will be part.
You guys.
yeah, could we address that as maybe Monday, Thursday, and Friday?
3 days.
Well, and that puts you here for the meetings and the day after the meetings, which are always busy.
So start date would be.
Yeah, and Monday you need to come in so we can chit chat about what we did over the weekend.
Well, I'm on
Because mine are always,
Friday, all the crises seem to come after $1,600.
that's so we have something to think about while we're drinking coffee over the weekend.
So pay rate is not negotiable.
His requirements are there. His requests. are-
I'm just saying because you said something about it. You said it's specific.
$40 an hour, 24 hours. Start date is now, 29 days. It's basically Tuesday, Thursday, Friday.
And I've used those hours as an interim in other places, and it seems to work because of my phone call away. Normally, without a record, I'm saying I was even.
Know how to get around?
Thank you for it.
Or know how to get around? I found some backwards, are great.
Every time I've done that, I get lost inside a paper bag. I'm not your best choice for that.
Okay, did we have a motion in a second?
We had a motion and a second, but it's kind of gone all over the place, so.
The motion was the attorney will prepare the document resolution for the 23 May meeting to appoint the interim city manager, Mr. Ken Roberts, at a pay rate of $40 an hour. At 24 hours a week with a $100 a month card stuff. Start date 29 May.
Okay, so I have a motion from Alderman Tremblay to task our city attorney with a resolution to appoint an interim city manager, which is Ken Roberts, at a rate of $40 an hour, $100 a month car allowance, 24 hours a week to work Tuesday, Thursday, Friday,
Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday.
Monday, Thursday, Friday, sorry, with a start date of May 29th.
Which would be a Tuesday, so the holiday.
You said 28th, May 28th.
28.
All right, so that's the motion. Seconded. And I have Alderman Pino with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, that passes. Thank you. We will-
So we really passed the motion to resolution.
Because we don't have one tonight.
Yeah, so we're gonna put it back on. the-
But,
Pastor.
we'll see you back here. too.
Mr. Roberts, we're gonna hang on to this contract. We're gonna start. All right, moving right along. Yes, you will need to come back, right? Yeah. You sure to come back? Don't run away. Okay, moving right along, discuss our possible action on that one we did. Okay, moving along to 11B, excuse me. Discussing our possible action on establishing an ethics policy for elected and appointed officials. Alderman Tremblay, you do have the floor.
As we know, and I gave everybody a copy with changes. This is, one that came from another city. Just like one of the other documents we looked at. I can read through this whole thing. Basically, this is a ethics policy for elected and.
I'll tell you right now, no. I've already read through it, and I'm gonna tell you why.
It's your.
Hang on, let him.
He said it's an ethics policy.
I'd like to present it. The purpose of the policy is to encourage and ensure the highest standards of personal and public conduct during your tenure in office. Adherence to the policy will maintain confidence and trust in representatives and decision makers for the city, each of whom must remain independent, impartial, and accountable to the citizens and businesses they serve. In addition to the policy, elected and appointed officials must adhere to state laws and other city policies which govern their conduct. The goals for the policy are that some council members and city officials must comply with the letter and spirit of laws and policies affecting the operations of government. It should remain independent, impartial, and fair in their judgment and actions, and use of respective office or positions for the public good and not for personal gain. Following definitions apply.
I'm sorry, I've gotta ask.
Go ahead.
Are you gonna read the entire thing?
I will unless you've read it.
I have. Has everybody else read this?
Questions?
I think.
I mean, to sit here and, no,
Do you have
I'm just,
questions about anything? Well,
absolutely.
then, go ahead and raise your
Let's go ahead
questions.
and.
That's why I'm disagreeing with this, because already, according to this document, tonight,
Hold on.
Go ahead and ask your questions, and then Tom hasn't had a chance to review it, so we may postpone.
and I'm gonna ask for a postponement, because I can tell you right now, already tonight, one of the things in this policy is no speaking ill of other council members. And if you do face repercussions of the city council being able to vote you out of office, okay? Sit your, hold up and hear me out, because this has already happened at this table tonight during this meeting. City council members have already spoke ill and insulted other city council members. Passive aggressive speaking of other council members is speaking ill. So right now, with this, that terminology that I just gave to you is an exact reason why this should not be in place. Because if this is in place, I can sit here and make a stink on it. And now all of a sudden, we're fighting over stuff that I would call BS. This is doing nothing but putting a knife into state policy that's already there. A lot of what's listed in here that we're going to conduct ourselves in accordance with and behave ourselves. I do recall that we all swore an oath. And I do recall there's already a state policy that says nepotism is not allowed. I do recall that we have already made these promises that are on the first couple of pages of this thing. So to me, whoever wrote this, and I know it wasn't you, sir, for their community, they put a lot of ink to paper to impress somebody else. All of these policies are already in place at state level.
Mayor, I'd like.
So I make a proposal that we postpone this until it's reviewed by our attorney and something that can actually be done as an ethics policy may be presented.
All right, well, because Alderman Rapino hadn't had a chance to review it, and I think there's more discussion to be had, we will postpone agenda item 11.
If I may,
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, we've been asked to come up with an ethics policy that's been brought up even before I was brought back on council. And it has yet to come before the council. This is your first step towards coming up with.
Alderman Tremblay,
Policy.
may I ask who asked the question? Who brought it?
Well, I
Well,
was.
we'll just say Catherine did it
Yeah, I
during
mean,
the public.
she publicly said it
public
during
reading,
the
so-
meeting,
Yeah.
so if people are asking for it, I think we should look into it. I
Okay.
mean, that's our duty.
Do you have a 10-year policy, sir?
Excuse me?
A 10-year plan, sir?
Do I have a 10-year plan?
Yes, sir. A road plan for 10 years on which direction.
Let's stick with the agenda.
Okay, I'm gonna give you relevance.
On that and move.
He's
to the
taking
next
one
item.
individual who said they wanted to see an ethics policy, and he's bringing it to us within less than 2 months. Yes,
Call to
I'm
order.
speaking, sir.
Call to order,
Yeah,
Mayor.
really.
We're off the agenda.
Relevancy
item.
is,
Okay.
Well,
relevancy is, we've had people in here ask us multiple times in the short term that you and I have been here for a 10-year road plan of the city. We have nothing brought to us. So that's
Now
relevant.
we have an interim.
Exactly. That's where this document needs
All
to
right.
be taken care of.
Okay, so we'll fully call this.
Papa Deborah's point, you know, I
Ma'am,
was,
please.
well,
Sir,
for
we're
me-
going to talk about
allow
this
her,
at
allow
our
her
next
to say,
meeting.
her piece.
We're going to talk about it at our next meeting.
but I don't
we-
think we're gonna talk about it. He said it was presented that we should listen to it now. Didn't you say that?
I said, this is a starting point.
This is
I
starting
mean,
point.
we should come
Yeah.
up with,
But-
and this isn't what I'm,
Well,
it's a working
re-
copy.
you know-
Let's look at it.
well, because it's ethics, that's why these things come up, right? Because we, each individual have an opinion of why this was brought forward at this time. Now we're talking about ethics, how long have we been a city, right? And it is, honestly, I know why it was brought. It says here that the city officials shall respect and adhere to city government and structure of outline, that we shouldn't, I was told that I shouldn't interfere with the administrative duties of mayor. And I said,
Mayor Pro Tem.
exactly,
You see what
but the person who brought this said it to me.
This is an ethics,
That's,
it's standards of conduct.
exactly,
Ethics-
exactly, but
ethics
what I'm
are-
saying
a
is,
complex-
we had 10 years to look at this.
Okay,
And it's all been outlined before. I agree with them.
You know,
all right,
that's why we take it away.
okay. No, I think it's fair. So before we have another outburst from Alderman Fillinger slamming the table, let's move on to the next one.
I'd like to make a motion on item 12.
Oh, no, we were studying to get.
And we're gonna get
No, we need.
Okay, I'll hold my motion.
Yeah, hold your motion. Discuss and or possible action relating to TxDOT's responsibility for road repairs on Priest Road. Alderman Tremblay, can you explain this to us?
Yeah, looking at so the road in between the city limits coming on Priest Road to over the other side of Mathis, just the side of the fire station belongs to the state. Back when I was in council way back in the state was getting ready, they were gonna repave that road. They were gonna fix it. No, we were just waiting on, forget what they were waiting on. They had already repositioned some, they were gonna take that road over 5 years. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
They had equipment there a while back, they would pat down what they were doing, and then they put up the tables and stuff to keep people from parking there, saying that it was a staging area for their equipment. So I would just like to get the city council, the mayor, get us all involved, maybe a letter from the city to the state. Even maybe with some photos. That corner is terrible when you leave from here and go head towards the Bolero. If there's a car coming the other way, it'll fall over the road. I mean, so it's to the point where it's a danger. It's dangerous to travel that road. Coming from the fire station, the fire station, the fire truck's coming. The sides of the road are all just falling apart. People talk about the city roads, but you know, that's in rough shape. So I don't know
Yeah.
what steps should we take forward, you know, to get the state moving on repairing that road.
Well-
That's the front door to our city.
Yeah, and you know, to be fair, so I called TxDOT and they put up the barricade there, right? Because we had a bunch of complaints about trucks parking there and trash and litter. So I start with whoever I contacted then, and because it happened after like 4 weeks, I called them, they're like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll get something there. And it happened. Now granted, they're not gonna do that with the road, but whoever that was, I spoke high enough to where they did something about it. And so maybe it doesn't happen right away, but yeah, I mean,
It's been patched and patched and patched.
No, I think it's fair. I think it's fair that we do kind of jump on that, and I can reach out to whoever I have on contacts to try to see what's the process to get that part of the road repaired. Last I heard, and this was from Vicky's era, is that that was our road that we were responsible
Never been ours.
for. Well, that's what they argued. That's whoever That's what I remember the conversation was. They were arguing it was ours.
As a matter of fact, there's the area of the road where, from the road there, which is the state road, to the entrance of the Dollar General.
Yeah.
Was belonged to the county.
Yeah.
That doesn't belong to us either.
That corner either belongs to Texas or it belongs to Fair County. Does not belong to San Diego because look at your DCAD map and it shows you exactly where the city limit is. Now, with that being said, there's no doubt that from the exit of 37 to the entrance of 37 is TxDOT, because they have worked on that during recent history. So then the question becomes from Waterloo Pass to the city limit sign. It's not ours. But, again, look at the BCAD map. The county's not gonna maintain it. So either we're gonna maintain it or TxDOT's gonna maintain it. And I, you know, I suspect TxDOT will say, no, after the entrance, that's not us anymore. Legitimate.
Well, let me call Jerry,
Yeah.
Jess, and tell him how much is it to repair that road?
There you
Oh, I got a
go.
question.
Yeah,
Okay, hypothetically,
hypothetical.
we repair it and then turn around and either sue the county or the state or both at the same time to recoup our funds.
We can send them a bill. We can send them a bill. I don't know about
Exactly,
suing
they can get.
Yeah.
Alderman Fellinger, you said that we are the talk of the town, talk of the state because we're the youngest. This will put us on a map as holy crap, this is the town, fix our own stuff and turn around and sue the city and state to get their money back. We're a poor town compared to everybody else.
them. All right, so then I'll reach out to TxDOT and see what's the process, and we'll go from there.
And if they deny responsibility, please call them.
Okay.
Let's get a price on it, because
Yeah.
we may want to, so the department money on that. Get 15-year repair, and then we don't have any more dealing with it. And I move agenda items, well, hey, I already made that motion.
That motion passes, we are adjourned at 8:09 PM. Thank you.
We just need to know who's responsible, what parts of the roads.
I think that was all.